There was a time when we walked like kings, not just in talk, but in truth. We were the sons of Jacob, princes of power. We had crowns before we ever had chains. But somewhere between the plantations and the projects, between the pulpits and the penitentiaries, we forgot who we were. We traded our garments of praise for prison jumpsuits and designer rags. We stopped running nations and started running blocks. The crown didn't fall. It was snatched. Snatched by lies. Snatched by propaganda. Poverty. And we didn't even fight for it. See, this didn't start in the hood. It started in history. After the war, our men came back from the Civil War to Vietnam with medals on their chests, but no roofs over their heads.
I don't think no black man should really be, drafted into the service. I should think it really should be a voluntary basis for a black man. If he feeling up himself that he should want to go fight for this country, he should be allowed to. But as far as the draft, every black man, send him off to Vietnam, he can go out there and fight, get shot at, but yet and still he come back to the state and he can't buy a house in Cicero, Chicago somewhere, you know what I mean? So what's the point? What's the point of going fighting? As far as on Okinawa here, I don't think they really tried to cater to the black man. And it's hard to get something for yourself in the military because it's geared for dissent, If you dissent, you lose, Either fall in line or you die. Okay, so you almost have to accept the way it is. And if you try to bring about a change, you best know what you're doing because they will mess you around. You'll be facing a court-martial before you can know it.
Black men who served in the Vietnam War often faced significant hardships and injustices both during and after their service. Black soldiers were often assigned to more dangerous combat roles, mostly because of systemic racism in the military's hierarchy. They were overrepresented in frontline combat units and underrepresented in leadership positions. This disproportionate assignment led to higher casualty rates among black soldiers. Black soldiers often did not receive the same level of recognition or support as their white counterparts, whether in terms of promotions, awards, or respect. They were more likely to be subjected to harsher punishments, with studies indicating that they received 34.3% of court-martials and comprised 58% of prisoners at Long Binh Jail, despite making up a smaller percentage of the overall military population.
All the beasts, this is what we call them because they act savage and barbarous like animals. They pull M16s on us. We had a USO show on the 4th of July, okay? The people, it was a soul show, people might say, because most of the songs were black, okay? Because of this, coming from the club where they had the USO show at, we come in contact with all these beasts with M16 rifles and whatnot, pointing at us, threatening to kill us. All right, well, this was reported to the proper authorities. The officer today, he didn't do anything. What did he say? Go hit the rack. A man that was in the opposing group, he threw a jar of cheese at the major. Nothing was done about that. But then again, when some of the brothers went and got their guns, was going to get their smoke poles and use them. This is self-defense. Everybody come down on them. If I ever hear you going lock and loading your weapon again, I'm going to lock you up. You'll be in jail from now. This kind of thing.
This documentary is called From Princes to Pawns, basically talking about how we first fell away from the Most High God and the trickle-down effect from us getting away from our Heavenly Father to our earthly fathers getting away from us and the trickle-down effect that it caused in the black communities, so-called black communities. That's right. We as Hebrew Israelites are not the blacks and African Americans that they consider us to be, right? And we're going to dig into all of that in the scriptures. We're going to dig into the curses that are put upon us. We're going to dig into the effects that the fatherless homes come with. Let's dive into it. All right, so here's the thing, right? Quick recap about Torah. The Lord used Moses to bring the Israelites out of Egypt. Israelites were in captivity in Egypt. They were slaves under Pharaoh in Egypt. All right, coming out of Egypt, we get to Mount Sinai. The Lord gives Israelites a list of laws that we see in the Torah. So in Exodus chapter 20, we see this thing, right? And start at verse 1. It says, "And God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth." Okay, so basically, he begins to give them what we know as the Ten Commandments. So you see the scriptures on the screen as we're reading along, and you see the Ten Commandments right there, right? So it says, "Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers unto the children, unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me." So let's break all this down. This is the Lord giving Israelites laws. He's reminding them that he was the one that brought them out of Egypt, out of slavery. Okay, so that's why that verse 2 says, out of the house of bondage. Verse 3, he's simply asking you not to make another God and to not serve any God but the Most High God. Okay, verse 4 is just talking about not making a graven image, right? So you are not to make an image of some, like, let's say, for example, someone that passed away, or an image of a thing, right? And he goes into speaking on not making a graven image of anything that is in heaven above or in the earth beneath, right? So you're not making images of angels. You're not making images of people that passed away. You're not making images of like some kind of sculpted mermaid or some type of animal in the water. You know what I mean? You're not making any images of things that are in the earth beneath or under the water. So he basically doesn't want you making images of any gods. He doesn't want you making images of anything that is in heaven, that you think is in heaven or what you think it looks like. He doesn't want you making any images of anything under the water, right? And these are like statues I'm talking about, like images meaning like statues. You know what I mean? He doesn't want you bowing down to these things. He doesn't want you worshiping these things, anything like that. All right. "Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me." So what that basically means, verse 5, is just saying you're not supposed to bow down to these images. So don't even create them. And I don't want you bowing down to them, because he's a jealous God. So he's going to put a curse on you, a punishment on you, right? Now he's going to visit that punishment is also going to go to the third and fourth generation. Like, say, for example, your great grandfather had passed the curse down to you, right? And that's due to his hate that he had for the Lord. And it's not that I personally hate the Lord, but I'm not keeping the commandments, so I can't say that I love him, right? So with that being said, the father can be cursed and pass that curse down to his son, and then that son can pass it down to his son, and that son can pass it down to his son, to the third and fourth generation, right? And it just continues. All right, so basically in Exodus 20, you'll see the Ten Commandments, right? So it talks about not taking the Lord's name in vain, right? So let's read verse 6. It says, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. So all throughout the scriptures, we see that the true love for the Lord is the keeping of the commandments. He doesn't want us just, saying that we love the Lord and we're not keeping the commandments, right? That's just a bunch of lip service. All right. And he rather you live by your word. You say that you love the Lord, so show it. Keep the commandments, right? Verse 7, thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. All right. So you're not swearing by the name of the Lord and then you didn't do it, right? So I swear by the Lord that I'm going to keep these commandments, and then you don't keep the commandments, right? I swear by the Lord that I didn't steal from that store, and you actually stole from that store, right? So on and so forth, like with these examples. So it also talks about you remembering the Sabbath to keep it holy. These are things that you are not learning in church. To remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. We have conversations all the time with Christians. They say that the law is done away with. But when we say, okay, so can I kill now? Can I steal now? Can I commit adultery? And all the answers are no. Do I have to keep the Sabbath? And it's like, oh, you don't have to keep the Sabbath. Wait a minute. How can we pick and choose what commandments we need to keep? All right. So, fast forwarding, and you can read the whole Exodus chapter 20 and they give you the whole breakdown of the commandments. And when it comes to these commandments, they were not being kept, right? And as a result, because Israelites were not keeping the commandments, they started dealing with the curses. So the Lord had gave them a proposition. Here's the thing. You're either going to keep the commandments and be blessed, or you're not going to keep the commandments and deal with the curses. And these curses put it put generations upon top of generations on top of generations of Israelites under curses. And that trickles down to us, current day. And we see this, right? So when it comes to keeping the Sabbath, it's 6 days that you work, and on the seventh day you rest. The Lord made man in his likeness and image, right? So let's shoot over to Genesis real quick to just discuss when the Shabbat was even established. This is the book of Genesis chapter 2, starting at verse 1. It says, thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them, right? So everybody, all the angels, everything that was created, all the animals, even the human beings who were created, everything was finished and was created, right? That's what it means by all the host of them. Okay, verse 2. And on the seventh day, God ended his work, which he had made. And he rested on the seventh day from all his work, which he had made. Right there. He rested on the seventh day. Again, keep in mind, this is the same God that made man in his likeness and image. It is your job to do what the Lord is asking you to do, right? Verse 3. And God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because that in it he had rested from all his work which God created and made. We have silly arguments and conversations with people where they like, I'm gonna serve the Lord God every day. That's fine. You can, and you should. All praises. But what day did he sanctify? That's the day that you're supposed to rest. That's the day you're not supposed to do any work. That's the day you're not supposed to be going to work. That's the day you're not supposed to be buying and selling. Okay? That's all that's talking about. You don't buy and sell. You specifically, for sure, don't do any sin on the Shabbat. You shouldn't be in sin at all, right? But you for sure don't want to be in sin on the Sabbath day. It's a day of rest, right? So that's the first time we see in the scriptures any conversation or any talk about the seventh day being a day of rest, being a sanctified day, which is the same day Exodus 20 is talking about. Exodus 20 and verse 8. Okay. It says, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. Okay? Nobody does any work on the Shabbat. All right? Listen, all of these laws that we were given, including the 10 Commandments, all of the laws that you read about in Exodus chapter 20, Leviticus, Numbers, even in Deuteronomy, all of these laws we're reading about, you're going to see throughout this documentary that Israelites broke these laws. And as a result, when we broke these laws, we were given the curses. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 28. Okay. Just for the sake of time, we're just going to skim through and try to give you guys some things. I'm going to start at verse 1. All right. And then I'm going to go down to verse 15 and then we'll boogie through. Right. All right. Deuteronomy 28, starting at verse 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. We are supposed to be, as Israelites, above every nation on the planet. But we did not keep the commandments that he gave us. So now we are below every nation on the planet. Right? Let me shoot down to verse 15. Deuteronomy 28 and verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe, to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. All right. So we did not keep the commandments, and now the curses are on us, and they have overtaken us. And as a result, cursed shall thou be in the city, and cursed shall thou be in the field. We're seeing this. Slavery. Okay? Slavery in the city and in the field. We have been hung on trees in the city and in the field. We have been shot and killed by police in the city and in the field. We have lost family members, all of our animals, all of our crops in the cities and in the fields. Missing children in the cities and in the field. We've lost jobs in the cities and in the field. Okay. And this is not just in America. This is in the four corners of the earth. This is in every country known to man that Israelites were slaves in. Cursed in the city and in the field. Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store. Now, when Israelites were given this scripture, when this was being written, okay, Israelites were in their land and they have received this warning. If you don't keep the commandments, you will be cursed in the city, cursed in the field, cursed store and basket. Now, in verse 17, it talks about, when it says store and basket, this is talking about everything that they stored, their seeds, their fruits, their vegetables, all of that will be cursed. It will either be stolen, insects eating your crops. You know what I mean? These are also diseases as well. Pestilence. That are causing people to get sick and they're dying by the thousands. Okay? Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store. Current day, we don't see that many successful black-owned businesses. Right? Some of y'all might think that's a stretch. but it's not. All right? The store and basket that Israelites had, they were not able to be successful in planting seeds and storing seeds, holding on to vegetables and growing crops. They were not as successful as they wanted to be once these curses went into effect on them. Okay? Current day, it's the same situation with so-called blacks, right? No matter where we are in this world.
Tom Vilsack will face tough questions today as he begins his confirmation process to reprise his role as Secretary of Agriculture. Vilsack served under the Obama administration for 8 years. This time around, he faces criticism from black farmers and advocates for not doing enough to address racism in farming. Black-owned farms are rapidly decreasing across the country. Black farmers accounted for more than 14% of all U.S. farmers in 1920. By 2017, that number dropped to less than 2%. Farmers say decades of systemic racism has stopped them from being able to successfully grow and keep their farms. 3 months ago, several senators introduced the Justice for Black Farms Act, aimed at overturning discriminatory practices implemented by the Agriculture Department. The bill includes a commission to study the legacy of discrimination against black farmers and protections for land ownership. Joining me now is founder and president of the Black Farmers Association, John Boyd Jr. John, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Great to have you with us. Explain a little bit, I know in general terms, how racism against black farmers has impacted their ability to build generational wealth through their land.
Well, basically, for a very, very long time, black farmers have been shut out of USDA farm lending programs, the subsidy programs, and there has been a long historic pattern of discrimination from USDA as it relates to black farmers. We haven't been able to get loans. It took 387 days to process a black farmer's loan application, less than 30 days to process a white farm loan application. And these are some very, very disparate figures. There's been study after study, commission after commission, Congress after Congress, that have found that black farmers have been discriminated against, but there has not been a real fix to the issue. And that's why we were so hopeful that with this new president that some of these things will change, because we've been totally shut out of the last administration. Former Secretary Sonny Perdue. I've met with every agriculture secretary since the Carter administration. And my meeting with the former Secretary Sonny Perdue was the worst meeting I've ever had with a sitting agriculture secretary. So we're looking for better days.
And I want to get to your feelings on Tom Vilsack in just a moment, but I do want to talk a little bit about the fact that this is a fight that you've been in for the long haul. I mean, you won the first discrimination lawsuit against the USDA over 20 years ago. Tell us what you specifically saw in your community that pushed you to file that lawsuit, and have you seen anything change in the 2 decades since you won?
Yes, it took me 30 days to win the lawsuit, and it's still the largest settlement in history for black people, totaling in 2 settlements for $2.5 billion, where roughly altogether 40,000 black farmers received $50,000 and $12,500 for the taxes. So the settlement was very historic in nature, but it took too long. And thank God I ran into a young senator in the hallway, then Senator Barack Obama, who later became president, who helped sponsor my bill in the Senate that passed into law called the Claims Remedy Act of 2010 that allowed for $1.25 billion for longstanding discrimination, where I myself faced discrimination by the Department of Agriculture, where I was spat on by a farm loan officer. I was called the N-word by the highest official at Farm Service Agency here in the United States. I had my application tore up and threw in a trash can, and was deterred from applying for federal assistance and federal loans. So there's a long-standing pattern and history of discrimination against black farmers. And I want to remind people, it's the oldest occupation in history.
If you are an Israelite and you got curses on you, you are not going to be successful in growing and planting and holding on and storing on to these things. Hey, if you're successful with planting and growing, you might not be an Israelite. Especially if you're not keeping the commandments and you're successful at growing crops and seeds and these things, right? These scriptures have gone into effect and they are effective and they are cursing Israelites. If you're not keeping the commandments, you're dealing with the curses. You'll see with these curses, keeping dietary law is a good thing as well that we need to be doing, right? You cannot eat pork. You cannot eat crab, shrimp, and lobster. You cannot. There are animals that the Lord does not want us eating, right? Verse 18, cursed shall be the fruit of thy body and the fruit of thy land, the increase of thy kind and the flock of thy sheep. Okay? You're not keeping dietary law, you're going to have a cursed body. Our people are dying from high blood pressure, sugar diabetes, cancers, gout. You know what I mean? Our people are in heavy fornication. They dying from STDs. You know what I mean? You know, bumps all over their situation, all over their genitals, bumps on your mouth. You know what I mean? Because folks are not keeping the commandments. You know, just out here having like willy-nilly sex. You know what I mean? Just doing what you want to do with whoever you want to do it with. You know what I mean? Some people 3, 4, 5, 17 times in a day with, 17 different people. Right? Trying to earn some money. That's called prostitution. You know what I mean? So as men, we failed as leaders. Okay? We led our families, our communities away from God. And as a result, we've gone into the curses. Okay? So slavery was a major thing for our people. It took away all of our resources. It took away our identity. All right? It took away all those things. All right? Verse 19. Cursed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and cursed shalt thou be when thou goest out. Okay? So you were born black. You were born with a stripe. You've been born cursed from the beginning. And the way you die is of a curse. Some of our people have sickle cell anemia. Some of our people have, diseases that they were born with. You know what I mean? If your mother or father was on drugs, you know what I mean? All kinds of stuff. All kinds of diseases. And our people are dying by the thousands every year. For the same thing, for the same reason. All right? And we do everything but get back to the Lord. All right? Deuteronomy 28 and verse 28. All right? The Lord shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart. Okay? So what do you think that means when he says the Lord will smite you with madness? Right? Our people are always mad.